What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Season Monroe Show. I am your host, and today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to be talking about Snoop and his Trump support. We're going to talk about the ICE raids all around America, and we're also going to talk about the war on the cartels right here, right now, only on the Season Monroe Show. So first on the docket, I want to talk about Snoop and his support for Donald Trump. My problem with a lot of this isn't the fact that Snoop was talking shit about Trump 8 years ago, and now he's doing exactly what he was talking about 8 years ago. My problem is the fact that people are talking down about him for that situation. And I feel like, again, most of the people that's talking down about him is because he was talking shit about Trump 8 years ago. But in all reality, it's people that this whole dynamic of downing Snoop fits their agenda. My problem with the situation is, and again, I don't care. Like, if you're going to talk shit about Snoop, talk shit about Snoop. But in all reality, we shouldn't be downing him because he had a change, not even a change of heart, just maybe he's done a little more research, right? I'm looking at the people that are trying to come up with reasons why Snoop is voting for Donald Trump. I was just listening to a podcast, and Godfrey We Trust with Godfrey, and he was stating, oh, Snoop voted for Trump because Snoop is a Crip and he has friends in jail and then he's going to help them, so on and so forth. And I'm like, that was the most ignorant shit I heard all week. And the fact that it came from somebody like Godfrey, and for those of you who do not know Godfrey, Godfrey is a comedian. He's from Chicago. He's a very intelligent guy. He's my Nigerian brother. Like, I've never heard him speak this ignorant about a situation. So he spoke on this situation, and those are the things that he said. And I just felt that was just totally disrespectful. And for Godfrey is like, you know better than this. Like, you come from Chicago, so you was around the game. Maybe you wasn't in it, but you come from, like you said, you was on the north side, so you know about Bucktown. You know about the Ville. Like, you know about these areas. You know Howard. Let's be real. Clark Street. Like, you know about this lifestyle. So for you to say something like that, knowing that once you get to a certain point in life, maybe you're not even talking to those guys on that level anymore. So you might not even have any friends or people in jail. That's just common sense when it comes to those type of situations. Another thing that I didn't like about what people were stating why Snoop is going for Trump is the money play. I'm 34 years old. Snoop has had money since I've been alive. So saying that Snoop is doing this for a bag is ridiculous. But you guys didn't say nothing to the Glorrillas, the Sexy Reds. By the way, I rock with Glow. I rock with Sexy Red, so I'm not dissing them in any shape, way, or form. Megan Thee Stallion, none of them. When they were performing at Kamala's DNC speeches and all this other weird shit. So, like, I just like the playing field to be even a little bit. Like, if we're going to talk about it, let's be respectful about the situation. Again, if you're going to talk shit about Snoop, talk shit about Snoop. Don't say this is the reasons why, because none of you have tried to ask this man why he's voting for them. And honestly, he doesn't owe you guys an explanation. But again, maybe he's found some new information that you're not privy to, or you don't want to be privy to, and that's probably why he went that route. So think about that. When it comes to a lot of people that want to talk down about Trump, look at it this way, guys. You say things like, oh, he's a racist, so on and so forth. There's only been one party that has shown on paper like blatant racism throughout the last 50 years. When it comes to Trump and the things that he's done, maybe he has did some racist shit. But all of these politicians have done it. And that's the problem. So if you guys want to complain about this guy doing racist shit, don't complain about him doing racist shit. Get into the system. Blame the system for allowing that racist shit to be allowed and continued. Because honestly, I'm not saying he was doing racist shit as a politician. Y'all are talking about back when the Central Park 5 shit happened. He did rent to low income families because they were black. But in all reality, people wasn't renting to low income families just because of the stigma behind renting to low income families. We have to keep it real here. We don't think about. I don't even think we're thinking at this point. We're just using emotion to try to get people on the side. And again, I feel like we're smarter than that. We should just do a little bit of research, and you'll be better off. I promise you. But I don't want to get into the political rants. That is my take on that situation. Again, respect Snoop and his decision. Again, respect people to grow. Maybe Snoop would have did the opposite if he was talking shit about Kamala and Kamala won and he performed at her inauguration. Like, should we downplay him because of the situation? No, I don't think that ever would have happened. Because what is sold to us, the marketing employee that's sold to you that this woman is for these people, is what everybody is looking at, and that's just not how politics work. What we also need to be looking at is just how this country has been ran for the past, not even just this past 4 years, the 4 years before that, with him in office, the 8 years with Obama in office, the 8 years with Bush in office. Like, just look at where we've been and where we're going as far as a country. Is it up? Is it down? Are we plateauing? We have to look at those things. And if we're not growing, we're losing. Plain and simple. All right. Let's get into our second topic of the day. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments on the situation, go ahead, drop it down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Let's get into the next topic. So our next topic is going to be the ICE raids. We've been seeing them going on all around the country right now. Again, we're seeing something that we haven't seen before in this country. It's a little wild. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Is it heavy on my mind about the ICE raids? Not necessarily. Reason being is we look at certain situations and say, hey, no one's above the law. We look at certain situations like the war in Palestine, and we didn't bat an eye. The same people that was out there looking at the people crazy for marching, this is the same situation that's going on right now. And we have to stand on the sidelines and watch it. What are you going to do? You throw your head in the ring? You're not going to win the fight. Because at this point, we've come too far. We've already allowed this to go on for so long. And this was bound to happen, guys. We have to understand there's checks and balances to everything. And what we were doing was we were cashing a lot of checks. We weren't balancing things out. And if you get paid, you don't pay your rent. I hate to use these like this wording, but like if you don't pay your rent, bro, you got to get put out. That's pretty much what it is now. Like, everything is cool, everything is fine and dandy when it's happening to the quote unquote criminals that's selling. The reason why these people were going to jail is because there was no money being exchanged as far as from taxes, things of that nature. When the government can't benefit from it, you got to go. And at this point, what they're stating is, hey, these guys are here. We're not benefiting from it and we're paying for it. So schools, what else? We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about, of course, we want to get, I don't want to really say the job situation because, again, being a part of businesses, you understand that if I got to pay somebody minimum wage and I see someone that can work for less than minimum wage, you're going to go for the less than minimum wage guy because it's just cheaper labor. It just makes sense economically. But what Trump is stating is, hey, this is messing us up as a country. Why? Because what we're doing is we're lowering this and we're allowing this to happen. And what's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years is we're not even going to be worth anything, which it already happened. Like, our dollar is not worth what it was a decade ago. And that's a part of this situation, right? And we got to deal with these situations, not stating that, hey, everybody needs to go. What they're doing is they're rounding up the people. They're pretty much seeing what's as a country, and we're running it like a business. Hey, do we need these guys? If not, they have to go. Is it right? We're not based off morals, guys. Slavery was legal at one point in time. We have to understand this. This is business. We can get into the emotional conversation. I'm here for it. I understand you guys. I understand it all. But that's not what's going on here. This is how things are ran. This is how it happens. Somebody was just stating the other day, they were talking about taxes and how other countries have free health care, so on and so forth. And they were saying, like, yeah, they have free health care, but their taxes are 60, 70%. Now, granted, if you break down our taxes as well, once you get into the 30, 40 percentile tax bracket, you start to notice that you're actually in the same realm of tax bracket as you would be in another country that's stating that their tax bracket is 60, 70%. We just don't like to call it that. We like to sugarcoat things here. So when you're paying more for healthcare, you're paying more for groceries, you're paying more like grocery tax, things of that nature, that is the extra 10, 15. They're taking another 10 or 15% from that. So now you are the 50, 55 percentile as far as when you came from 40%, 30% as far as the tax bracket. And those guys that are in the 50% tax bracket, they're automatically rolled over into the 70% because they're paying for everything else. That's just, unfortunately, it's just like funneling money at this point. And it gets confusing, and it's a lot deeper than that. But just like on the surface level, we pay high in tax. We pay a lot of bullshit. And again, we need to start learning from countries like the Dubais out there. Who else? I want to say they were saying like Denmark is somewhat similar as far as like everything is pretty much peaceful and the taxes are high, but everything nobody wants for anything, so on and so forth. Maybe if we start looking at that type of lifestyle, we'll be better off. But just right now, it's just not where we're at. So yes, we're paying these 30, 40, 50% tax brackets where everybody else is technically 60, 70%, but we're getting the run of it. Not like Canada. Canada, I feel like they're getting screwed twice, but that's neither here nor there. But that's my take on that. The ICE raids, again, we're not a moral country. We don't do what we do based off of morals. Plain and simple. All right? Let's get into our next topic nope, it's not our last topic because I got one more for y'all. But we're going to get into our next topic. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you need to talk to me about this situation. If you want to talk about the ICE situation, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Don't forget, hit that subscribe, hit that like. I appreciate you. Let's get into the next topic. So our next topic is going to be the war on the cartel. Let me first start off by saying this. Let me put my cup down. Like I said before, I'm 34 years old. What I've seen happen in Black households and Black neighborhoods, I always wondered, like, when is the other guys going to get the hammer down on these situations, right? That's what's happening now. I'm not saying this is get back, but it's the every debt becomes due. You know what I'm saying? Like it was bound to happen. I was talking to one of the homies a little while ago and she was stating, I was pretty much comparing American gangs to cartels. And the conversation kind of went left. Reason being was they actually felt that the cartels were like so much better as far as she even stated that they were better than our military pretty much. And because of the way the picture is painted, you can damn near believe something that idiotic. But because I come from a certain background, I kind of understand how things are swayed. Like, for instance, we literally had laws made against us. It was trickery. They literally planted people in organizations to make sure that things didn't strive. They poisoned us, took away our families, what else? Locked us up, kind of like what was going on with ICE right now. And when people don't understand history repeating itself, it's kind of like what's going on now. Like just literally what's happening now was the 80s and 90s for black people. Actually, it was I want to say the 80s and 90s for black people. The reason why I'm saying the 80s and 90s and not the 70s and 60s, because that's when we were at this plateau that's when we started getting the game. Like, they can do it, we can do it because these are the laws. 70s and the 60s and 70s, that's when they started writing laws against us. Like, that's the difference. When you talk about black gangs versus the cartel, that's the difference. Like, there were literally laws put in place against black organizations. That's where the term gangs came from. Like, it was bad. And of course, I'm not going to take this away because they were targeting like the mafias, the mob bosses, the Al Capones and shit like that, of course. But they didn't make laws to target him. It was just like, if you get him with these laws, you get him. If not, so be it. They ended up getting him off tax evasion. That's how badly they wanted him, but they couldn't do nothing about it. With us, on the other hand, they made laws against the black organizations and that's how they pretty much demolished them, right? And with the cartels, what they've been allowed to do for so long was they were allowed to operate because they were helping this situation. And if you watch shows like Snowfall, I feel like there's another movie out there, Tom Cruise, American Made. Like they pretty much tell you like how the war on drugs was a kind of a front. And I mean, I take not the war on drugs, the how the drugs got here was one front, and then the war on drugs was another front to attack the black families or the people that were selling narcotics, things of that nature. So now we're talking about the cartel, who's been allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted to do for so long that people really think that they're more powerful than the United States government. Okay, let's go to Mexico. If you're an officer in Mexico, full-time officer in Mexico, you're making about 10, 11 grand a year, right? For all of you who don't know, like for America, we make on average, I want to say 45 grand a year is the average median. I want to say that's the average income as far as the country altogether, right? So you're making 4.5 times more than a full-time officer in Mexico. Not Mexico City, the whole country of Mexico. On average, they're making about 10, 11 grand a year. So in our eyes, if we look at it like that, it's like you can literally pay someone a quarter of their salary, not even. You could pay them a month of their salary for them to look the other way for you to do crime. That's why I advocate so much for officers to get paid more. Right now, officers on average making about 80, 90 grand a year, and that's before you get into the overtime, just the starting of it, right? We want them to make more. Why? Because they're protecting our cities and they're protecting us, period, right? Also, we don't want them to be easily bribed to do some dumb shit. Because absolute power is corrupt. Absolutely. That's just what happens. That's just how things work. When you have somebody with so much power, that's why it comes back to that checks and balances thing. People are going to swindle and try to get away with shit. If you have an officer and you can pay this officer his yearly salary to look the other way, they're going to look the other way. If you pay this officer his yearly salary to get somebody deaded, you could probably get somebody deaded. It's a lot easier to do crimes in low, impoverished places. We used to have a saying like, we can get you popped for nothing. And that's a literal thing. Like, we come from a society where the shooter is celebrated nowadays. And as I was growing up, the shooter was always the send-off guy. Like, there was never not even the send off. He was the guy that worked. He was the foot soldier, just like soldiers in the army. Again, every organization is ran like the military. So you have your generals, you have your lieutenants, you have your soldiers, your foot soldiers, you have the guys the special guys that do special tasks, right? So that's the same with the streets. So you have foot soldiers, and they do shit like shootings, and you know it costs you nothing for that to happen. But now we've come to the point where we're respecting the guys that shoot, and they find themselves more valuable than what they really are. Because the whole point of the game was to get money and move. It will not even move, but move out the way. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to move to another town, move to another city, move to another neighborhood. It was just to get money and move out the way. Now we respect the shooters so much, so that's why we look at these cartels as, man, they're cutting off heads, they're doing this. By the way, wherever we at in this timestamp, let's edit that. We don't want YouTube to flag us. So they're doing this criminal activity, and they're allowed to do this criminal activity by their governments. And then on top of that, they're allowed to show what's going on, so on and so forth. And I've always stated, I remember moving to another, you know what, I'm not even going to get into my life story. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it right there as far as that situation. So that's what's happening with the cartels. We are literally putting them in this box, and they're either going to get locked up, they're going to get hurt, or they're going to get sent home. So that is pretty much the basis of that. I have no sympathy for that. It is what it is at this point. This is life. Again, history repeats itself, guys, and everybody is shocked at this very moment. And it's like Trump got in office, said what he was going to do, and he's doing it. What we're not used to is a politician that's a man of his word. Plain and simple. So that's that, man. And I hate to get off into that deep conversation. So I really want to end it right there. But there was one thing I needed to touch on, because this is a movie channel. We got to touch on movies here. Let's get into Captain America, Brave New World. The reason why I want to get into this is because I found out some new information. I want to talk about it right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments about the cartel. Let's get into our next topic. Captain America, Brave New World. So this movie hasn't came out yet. Comes out in a couple weeks. And as I'm waiting for it, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see it. I'm starting to find out more and more about the reshoots, the reasoning why there were so many reshoots, the reasoning why there was so many pushbacks on the dates. The movie was delayed. Why so many delays? And I'm thinking common things like the writers' strike, the actors' strike, things of that nature. And it's like, no, this script was done already. What's happening is, as Israel is in a fight with Palestine, we need to take this out because we have a Israeli villain in this movie. And it's like, come on, guys. This is where we are as far as like how soft we are, as far as not even just a country. Yes, as a country, as a society, like that is weird. We know about this stuff already. Like, you have the Israeli villain in Captain America, Brave New World. This is based off a comic book that was maybe 80, so 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. Why are we taking these things out of this script? Not only that, we go into the movie was originally called Captain America: New World Order. We took that out because they said it was because of Jewish conspiracy theories. I think it was due to conspiracy theories in general. Captain America: New World Order sounds a lot like a conspiracy theory. I get it in the title, its name, but it also sounds very interesting. That's going to get people to come see it. All right? You're not saying anything malicious against Jewish people or anything malicious against anybody. This is the name of the film. You literally just had a show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was depicting a lot of this stuff in there. So they changed that. My problem is with that is we look at this as a society and we think it's okay just because to rewrite history. That is a dangerous game. The reason being is it's kind of like that book Fahrenheit 451, where like all the books in the world were burned, and it was pretty much based off of government information what they would give to people. That's all you can pretty much learn because that's all they had, right? This book came out like way before computers and all this other stuff, way before there was a Google, people. So again, I get it. It's a comic book, but it's simple things like that. If they're changing the history on things now, just imagine what they're going to be doing in the next 20, 30, 50 years from now. So that's what I'm worried about. Make the damn movie. They made the movie. And that's why if you looked at certain situations, like the director left. And I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, man, he left because they told him to reshoot again? Like, that's more money. That's this, that's that. It wasn't a reshoot again. It was this is not the movie I came to make. And now we're just piecing together shit. And it's not what it was in the beginning. I get the problem now. Now that makes sense. Now I understand why he left. We're so, as a society, we're just so timid, and it's messing everything up, from art to just our wording, the way we express ourselves. Like, I understand there's one way of just being a bully, but allowing someone to express themselves it shouldn't even have to be explained to anyone. You know, if I say something and you don't fuck with it, don't fuck with me. Plain and simple. That's just me, guys. I hope I'm not overthinking this situation. I think it was weird that they took that out. Let me know if I'm bugging. Hopefully, Captain America: Brave New World is amazing. I can't wait to see it personally. But right now, I am worried because a lot of things were changed. And at this point, it's just like, all right, just give it to us. Like, we just want to see it at this point. But we're going to see, man. We got a couple weeks left. I can't wait to come in here and tell y'all the review. Other than that, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in for another episode of the Season Monroe Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, if you guys don't know, February is Black History Month. For those of you in other parts of the world, February is Black History Month. So I'm going to be talking about nothing but Black History Month, Black History films. Not necessarily Black History films. Films with like mostly black cast, directors, things of that nature. All right, I don't want to say Black History films because, well, technically that is Black history, but I know when people hear Black history, they think Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, things of that nature, and that's not what I'm talking about here. I'd be damned if I'll be watching Malcolm X on Black History Month. It's just not happening. I'll probably watch it in March. I'm probably watching it for his birthday, but I'm not watching it in February. It's just not happening. All right. So be on the lookout for that. I appreciate y'all for tuning in once again. I'll see you next week. Peace.